Good morning from beautiful Brisbane, Australia. How are you this morning? It's Monday morning here. Yay! We're going to get the week off to a great start today. Now, if you're here for the first time, my name's Linda. I'm a trauma recovery coach and it's great to have you here. If you're here again and you're a regular viewer, thank you. I love being able to share with you. And one of the most important parts of what I do for me is that you're able to gain insight and wisdom into how you can better recover through your journey through complex PTSD. Because it's not easy, but it's worth it. Okay, today I want to share with you something that's really close to my heart because this actually literally happened to me last week and over the weekend. So I was feeling full of joy and I was going to bed really super happy at night. I love what I do. It's been nearly 3 decades worth of learning and application and understanding, and I continue to learn more now because the science is now catching up with what I've been doing. So it gives me the language. But not only that, I get to share it and we get to become more well a lot quicker than the information that we've never had along the way. Now, as I was going to sleep happy and full of joy, I'm like, this is it. You know, everything that I've worked for is coming together and I can see it, I can feel it, I'm breathing it, and it's exciting for me. And then Saturday I had 2 appointments scheduled. So my first one, I was going out to have breakfast with a beautiful bunch of women that I do life with, and then in the afternoon I was going to be with a different bunch of beautiful women to share in some information that a friend of mine had put together. So I woke up Saturday morning, having had a couple of days filled with absolute joy and happiness. And when I woke up, I'm lying there and I'm going, something's not right and I don't know what it is. And it took me a while to work out that my brain had actually triggered into depression. And I just went, oh, this is bizarre. How on earth can you go from joy to depression overnight? And as I sat back and examined it, I've put together an infographic for us, and it's something that I will continue to work on. Depression has been one of my big challenges. So the anxiety and the panic attacks I've been able to work through pretty successfully over time. But the depression, it's mind-boggling at times. It just hits me out of nowhere. And what I've really come to understand is how much it is a neurobiological response, and it's such a powerful response that starts in the brain that floods the body, like everything that it triggers in the brain floods the body and can have us believing that the depression and the heaviness, the fog that comes with it is just phenomenal. But I'll talk about that more in a minute. And it can have us believing that we can't break free from it. All right? So I'll just bring up today's infographic for us. And if you're here, say g'day. Don't be shy. Okay, so what I've learnt so far, I've done not extensive research, but I've done a bit of reading around, the interwebs. And while scientists have progressed from 30 years ago where they used to believe it was just problems with the synapses, that word, in our brain, they actually understand that depression is far more involved and needs more research and more understanding than what they even have today. All right? So for my part, in the real world, what am I doing and how have I changed how I looked at it in order that I can begin to conquer it day by day? So I've begun looking at my brain as a muscle. Now, obviously, it's not like the muscles in our body, but I look at it as a muscle because I know that if I do that, I can train it. So when people look at athletes, okay, when they go into training, they go into training their whole body to do what they want it to do. So when I get triggered into depression, I look at my brain as the muscle and I go, right, I need to retrain my brain for whatever reason that it triggered into depression. I need to retrain it that it doesn't have to keep going there. It's not an overnight adventure, let me tell you. But then a top athlete doesn't get to where they're going overnight either, okay? So we're going to become master athletes of our brain muscle, okay? It just happens to be a super intelligent muscle that we need to retrain. Now, the reason why I look at it as a muscle is because it's being trained to respond to the fear response that we developed in childhood, okay? So the fear response will go off for whatever reason, and the most basic way we can look for the fear response is the HALT acronym. So am I hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? Mine definitely was tired because I pushed my brain to get a whole bunch of work done, because I'm setting up everything for our trauma-informed movement groups, and I pushed and pushed because I love doing the work. But obviously the brain went, tired. So I knew why it had triggered. Sometimes we don't know, and we have to reach a place where I don't know yet, and that's okay. So I look at it and I say, okay, that's why it got triggered, and the neural pathways are the same, but I've got to create new neural pathways. So whilst my whole being, so my brain, my body, my emotions, are having this powerful response, what do I need to do first? Now, when we learn about the neurobiology and the neurophysiology around all of this, we begin to understand that the emotional response that's coming from the depression trigger is not who I am, it's not part of me, it's a learned response from circumstances that happen in childhood, and now as an adult I get to take charge of it. And it's hard work, but it's doable, bit by bit, like just one little bit at a time. Now, one of the things that I've been researching and I haven't got a complete understanding of yet is the neurochemical orexin. Now, orexin actually is lacking in people with narcolepsy. So people with narcolepsy can just fall asleep in the middle of the day for no reason, okay? Now, what happens when the depression hits is we just want to fall asleep, like we really need to just pass out and go to sleep. I did an hour's workout last week and you feel really good, but because it was starting to come on and I totally missed it, that the depression was coming, I sat down and I literally went, oh my goodness, I can't stay awake. So whatever was happening at a brain level, I went, why can't I stay awake? So I went to sleep and just like that. And I went, okay. And when I woke up, I felt great. I actually found an article where it explains that's what happens with the orexin. Now, the orexin is actually part of our sympathetic nervous system and hooks in and makes up part of the stress response as well. So remember, we're dealing with toxic stress. I want to sit down and investigate it further and be able to apply it where it's fitting in with our vagus nerve and where it's fitting in with our amygdala as well. But that's further down the track. For now, we just need the takeaway that the orexin is part of the stress response, okay, the system, so it goes through our entire body. So for us to fall asleep when the depression hits, there must be some kind of lack. I haven't found an article that explains it fully yet, but remember, we're the first generation. We're the ones that will lead the way into what future generations come to know. So for the moment, know that somewhere the orexin is part of our stress response, and we need to allow for that. So on Saturday morning I went, okay, I'm not going to be able to make breakfast. It's not feasible because I know the process, I know what the triggers do, and I know that I'm going to have to fall asleep. So I went, okay, no worries. So I let the people know that I couldn't make it. I went to sleep, and when I woke up, a few hours later, so obviously my brain was tired from creating new neural pathways, from me pushing it to do more work, and that's okay because we need to do that too. But when I woke up, that whole fog that you can feel, just your head's fogging and you can feel it all around you as well. And I went, all right, so what am I going to do? I've got the option to go out this afternoon. I went, all right, what can I do? So it's a big part of our recovery is to say, what can I do? And also to affirm, I can do this. So I went, all right, I'm going to go to gym. I get to gym, and there's a lady there that I end up talking to for over an hour. And as we talked and as we connected, the fog was lifting. So I was talking about neurobiology to her and the neurochemistry, etc. And I could feel the fog lifting. I still did not feel that my prefrontal cortex was engaged again, so I didn't feel that there was a whole sense of order, but I was prepared to keep going with it. And also, one of the things that we need to be aware of is it will trigger emotions from the past. So in the afternoon Saturday, I went to the next function, and that was great. I was just very, very careful with myself, very tender, and I made sure I got some good sleep. Now that stretched me. So what can you do? How would you apply that scenario with depression? Well, first of all, we say, right, I want to create the new neural pathways so that my brain one day gets the message it doesn't have to trigger into depression to go down that hole I need to be safe road. So we stretch ourselves, we say, right, if I can't stay awake, then I need to sleep. But once I've had that sleep and my brain and I wake up and my brain's refreshed, then I want to be able to go, right, what can I do now? Even if I'm up for an hour and I get some basic stuff done around home, then that's what I do. And I push myself to do it above and beyond the emotions that the depression brings up from the past. Okay? And the next day, so yesterday on Sunday, I could feel all this stuff coming up from the past, but I knew that I didn't need to buy into it. I was aware that it was there. I acknowledged that there was a lot of my life as a child that I hated, but I went, that's not who I am today. All right? I love my life and I'm happy with what I'm doing. I understand that I've still got a journey to go, but I want to keep going. So assess what you can and can't do and err towards the more of what I can do. Ask questions about the external and internal circumstances leading up to the moment. So I was able to say, well, how did I get to this point in time? What was happening for me internally? Was there anything external that was triggering me? We also want to know when we're disassociating, and we also want to own our own strength as an adult. So remember, one of the big things that we learnt as children coming in, living in that toxic, dysfunctional environment was that we were helpless. So now I have to be intentional about where I can help myself, what I can do. So yesterday I went out, in the morning I went out to church, I came home and I went, how much can I do? And I went, right, I'll give myself 3 things did them, sat down, ate lunch, and went, I need half an hour to have a rest, or to sleep, and so my brain can rest, and when I wake up, I'll feel great. My brain will feel a whole lot better. Do it. Okay, so half an hour later, and then I was up and I was able to do more things. It's good to time it, because then you get to know your own body, you get to know your own brain, and you're starting to really put intent into what you want to do in your day. You're also letting people around you know that you've been triggered into depression. So I did let the people around me know that this is what's happened. It's out of my control. And it is out of our control when that depression, when the trigger happens. We have no say in that, because that's how we were wired. What we have a say in is what we do today and what we do in order to create new neural pathways and let our brain know that we're safe to keep stretching ourselves. All right? So we want to do incremental increases. So we don't want to say, oh, I'm just triggered and I'm just going to go forth and conquer the world in one day. Doesn't happen with a healthy recovery, okay? A healthy recovery means I put incremental increases into place, all right? So use time to help you increase what you're doing. So on the Saturday, I had half a day, and on the Sunday, I had a full day. And one of the most important things I did on the Sunday was my trauma-informed movement and the gym, because then I was intentionally reconnecting my prefrontal cortex and my amygdala and getting them to work together, which meant that today I was able to get up and do that. So go to gym, do the trauma-informed movement to reconnect my prefrontal cortex with my amygdala and the limbic system, and it makes it my whole day a lot easier and a lot clearer to see things. Now, will I need to rest later today? No doubt. My brain will be going, right, we've pushed it a bit too far. Have I got a whole to-do list? Of course. We always have a to-do list. But I will do it one step at a time, and with intention, I'll say, right, have I done enough? Does my brain and the whole biology and everything need me to rest? How long do I need to rest for? And I stick to that, and I set an alarm just in case. And that way, in doing it intentionally, then each time this happens, and it will happen again. It just does happen again. Can't avoid it. But what I can do is continually create new neural pathways so that my brain gets used to the joy, my brain gets used to me stretching and doing the things I want to do, and then that will lessen how often I get triggered. And that's what we're aiming for, is to lessen how often we get triggered. Okay? Thanks for listening today, and I hope that's helped. If you have any questions or comments, please feel welcome to leave them down below. I'm always happy to help. Have a wonderful, wonderful Monday, and I will see you tomorrow morning. Bye for now.